code, and you will end up with a questionnaire, or actually it's one question. And the question, you will see that, but to explain, I would like you to guess how long does it take. And thanks, Magnus, for the idea or speaking about the onboarding, because I'm going to actually drill down and demo how we can do onboarding in a very fast and accurate way with automation. And the question is about now, at this moment, before I finish the slides in 20 minutes, how long should it take to create a new account for a new employee if automation is implemented properly? And it's a guess. And the one that will be closer to the reality will win a nice, fancy wine bought by Blaise. Thank you, Blaise. It's a Swiss wine. It's a Swiss. And the box as well. Right. So, why do we need automation in ITSM? Do you have an idea? Why don't we keep it as is and let the human beings do their work as we used to do things a long time ago? I remember me going with my father as a child to buy a radio tape, double cassette. I don't know if you had those. But before buying, he enforced me, as part of the education, to go to 20 different shops and ask the seller what are the advantages or disadvantages of and the prices, and it took so long. In most cases, I just gave up. I said, Daddy, you know what? I don't need it. And nowadays, we do it in a different way. It's so easy. In 1 minute, or even less, you can have all the devices that you want to buy, their prices, and even put an alert as soon as their price is going down. So, life is changing. What is changing? People are changing, and enterprises, companies, corporates needs to change and adapt as well. Because the expectations from the customers, from the employees, from the stakeholders are different. And if we don't adapt, what happens? Disappear. Competition. For every product, software, whatever. There are already, you have a new idea now, you already have dozens of competitions. Especially now with the AI. You can build things yourself. You don't need to buy anymore. We're still not there, but we are getting very close to that. So, we want to increase the efficiency, productivity, and you heard about all those terms in the past. I'm not going to repeat them. Okay? If you see something which is new to you, just raise your hand and I will explain. But I think you get all the pitches from the salespeople, and it's repetitive, and I don't like to repeat things that people already said. Today, there are many different ways, or in general 4 different ways, but I'm sure that there are others, to automate and integrate with an ITSM platform. Regardless if it's a ServiceNow or whatever. So you have a way to actually use the specific platform capabilities inside, embedded, but can you go outside of that and start to integrate with other systems? Partly, not all of them. Native or third-party plugins, you buy another plugin from another vendor, so now you are dependent on that. But some companies decide that this is their strategy, and it's okay, it's fair. And then you have application programming interface, so developers. So you bring developers, you pay them, they build their stuff, they go. 2 years after you have an issue, the guy is not a developer anymore. So you have to find someone that will understand what the other guy wrote, maintenance, cost. And then you have the last one, which is the one that I'm going to focus on today, which is a robotic process automation platform. What does it mean? It started a long time ago. Actually, my journey with automation started 20 years ago with test automation. So if you're familiar with test automation, which basically you automate things that you did in a manual way, like clicking on buttons, looking for a specific value to see if it is the expected one. The same thing you do, but for production. The technology is almost the same. Some companies that were test automation leaders became RPA leaders, because again, technology-wise it's the same. The concept is a bit different because you are running automation on production. So it needs to be compliant all over this place. Okay? And you need to manage that, you need to govern that. You need to know that you have those automations in the company. You need to know that when something is changing, you need to change the automation. So all the governance part of the automation is something new. But all the rest on how to automate is more or less the same, with some advancement on the way you create the automation. Because today, you can use very low code or even no code at all to automate things. And this is when we talked about the new generation, that's what they're expecting. So let's focus on the RPA solution. I'm going to show a demo on a very simple process of a new employee starting in a company. The first simple thing that we need to do is to create an account, an Active Directory account. Okay? We are a consultancy company. We have 200 plus consultants that most of them are working at different customers. When they arrive there, they don't start to work from day one. It takes an average week or 2 weeks to get access to some systems that they need to work with. Okay? So it's like a new employee, and then you need to have access to the system that he needs to test or develop or whatever, and it takes a lot of time, and it costs a lot of money. So the first thing I want to show you is that I have access to Active Directory in Azure. So it's a web platform. You see I have 3 users. I used my Gmail account to create a new organization called Yuval Gmail, whatever. Don't pay attention to that, it's not important. This is our new company, we have 3 employees and we are going to hire a new one. So the building blocks of an automation, how does it look like? So you have the part where you need to connect your platform to the systems that you want to interact with. So Active Directory is one. I showed you in the slide Outlook because I need to send a message to the manager that the employee is here, and this is the credentials, and then I need to send a mail to the new employee, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you need to create connections between the automation platform and ServiceNow for the ticketing, Outlook for the mailing, and Active Directory for the account creation. So you will see 3 connections that I created. Once it's connected, it doesn't mean anything. I just have access to the system with the right access. By the way, a robot, the one that runs the automation, is like every employee that you have in the company. He has an identification, he has an account, he has some specific rights, many of them are restricted. He needs to do only one thing, but he's an employee, he should be considered as an employee. The only advantage, small one, that he can work 24/7. And no breaks, no holidays, nothing. Okay, so this is the platform. By the way, the vendor name is UiPath, but you have other vendors like Automation Anywhere and about around 50 more vendors that are dealing with automation. Okay, today I'm going to use UiPath. I'm going to use ServiceNow as the ITSM platform and other tools that you will see. So in this platform, it has a web interface. So basically I can give access to some specific people in the organization. In this case, it will be IT. So as you can see, there are many applications that you can connect to. And it's not only to connect to those applications, you will also get a list of activities that you can do with those platforms. So if it's Active Directory, create user, delete user, create a group, add roles, whatever you can do as an individual or an IT expert in Active Directory, you can do with automation, and you don't have to write the code because all activities are exposed in a list of activities that you will see in a second. So I want to create a connection, for example, with Azure Active Directory. I enter all the information here, okay? And then once I'm connected, I want to create my triggers. So building block number 2, a trigger. In our case, what will happen is that an HR will send an email to ServiceNow, and ServiceNow will identify it as a ticket for new hiring, and it creates a request item. So the trigger for me to set up here in the automation hub or platform or orchestrator is as soon as there is a new request item with the description new hiring, start the automation. So in my demo I created 3 connections, ServiceNow, Outlook and Azure, and then I created 3 triggers. The first trigger is as soon as there is a new request item with the new hiring, I'm starting my script. The script or the automation, the robot, what will do, it will go into ServiceNow, not with the user interface, behind the scenes, using the API. Now if I start to speak Chinese now, saying API, ignore, because you don't care. You as a business user, and not only developer, but you business user, you will be able to interact with this system in order to create the automation without writing a line of code. It's simple as that. So, you will go into the request item, and you will identify the first task. And the first task will be to create a new Active Directory account. As soon as this task is completed, and the robot will make sure that he will complete it and close the task, a new task will be created, which is to inform his manager. And then as soon as this one is finished, then is to inform the employee and close everything, and the request will be closed automatically. Now, the flow or the workflow behind of the tasks is something that is managed in ServiceNow. It's an enterprise standard process that was defined by decision makers in the company. I don't touch it as a robot or as an automator. I apply to the existing rules of the company. I just act as an IT guy or HR or whatever employee, which is not human being, but just a robot, in order to avoid repetitive, boring work, and instead not replacing those people. Some people used in marketing, automation is here to replace human beings. No. In some cases, people might go in that direction, but this is not a good one. The idea is to actually use the brain of human beings for things that are matter. Okay, if I need to always click on the same button every day, every morning, I'm not that motivated to come to work. But if I'm being asked, what do you think about? Suddenly I can think. And this is super motivating for people. And the time that you're waiting until something happens in the company, in the corporates today, ask yourself, what are the tasks that takes a lot of time? Can we make them a bit faster? And I'm sure that the answer is yes. So, created the connections, creating the triggers, then I created the scripts or the automation. Now there are two ways of creating the automation in this specific platform. One of them is to use a web platform with easy drag and drop, and the other one is using a tool that looks like Visual Studio, but it's not. It's really like a Lego brick game, but you can add code here. If it's really sophisticated, yes, you can add code. So it looks a bit not that friendly, but I wanted to show you what is behind, and for you to understand that it's not really code like a developer does. It's more like a drag and drop, and it's quite readable and intuitive. So I'm just opening the first script for you to see, and then I will run the flow from start to end, and hopefully nothing will fail. I don't know why I'm taking this challenge every time, but I like the adrenaline of that. Okay, so remember there is a trigger. Once there is a trigger that a request item with a new arrival or new hiring is created, the ID of this request ID is sent from the automation platform, ServiceNow to the automation platform to the script. So here I'm expecting, it's called the event object, I'm expecting an ID to come to the robot, and then the robot say, okay, I would like to get all the information about this request from ServiceNow. So this is the part where I'm getting all the information. The second part is what is the task that is linked to this request item. Remember, first task is create the account. Okay, so now that I know what the task is, I want to say actually that I want to update the state of the task to be in progress, because the first status is open. Like an employee, if I'm an IT employee, I'm clicking a ticket, I say, okay, from open to in progress, everybody knows that I'm working on it. Usually it takes a week before I change the status. In this moment, or today, you will see that it takes a few seconds. And moving forward, I'm saving all the information that was sent by mail from the HR employee, all the information about the new employee that I'm about to create, manipulating it in order to create the account in Active Directory. So I'm checking if the user exists. If yes, I have nothing to do except for reporting the HR, listen, the user already exists. Is it possible that the name that you gave me or you sent me is, we already have an employee with this name. So it means that we need to take an action and change the name. So we will get it in 10 seconds if the user exists. And then the HR knows, and then they can change the name or whatever. Usually it takes more than that. I had a discussion with you before with someone. And if not, then I'm creating the user directly in Azure Active Directory, just to show you how it looks like. I'm just showing you some information that I provide. Here I also did something hard-coded because of the demo environment that I'm using. Forget about it, usually everything should be dynamic, everything should be driven in a way that you get information from the mail, and that's it. Okay, so then I'm updating the task to close, I'm sending an email. I'm creating some information to send to his manager, and there it is. And I'm also sending a temporary password. Usually you save the password in a separated file and you send it back. It's for the demo purpose, okay? I just want to show you that you can do everything that you do. So I'll close this and I will run it. Cross fingers. I'm crossing mine. So what I want you to see, I will switch to the part where you will see that something happens, because anyway, everything is done behind the scenes. So you can see that I have automations. Let's use the last hour, so it's empty. And once you will see the first trigger running, you will see first line, second trigger running, second line, third, okay? And they should all pass. If you see that it's not passing, something is wrong. And then, the last thing I need to do is to actually send a mail that, luckily, I have 1 minute to create an account for a lady named Taylor Swift. So, Les, congratulations, we have a new employee.
Not so bad.
I showed you before that in my Azure, I don't have this employee. She's still not here. Very soon she will be. So I've sent an email. Now ServiceNow is running every minute to check if there is a new email. And as soon as we have the email, the ticket will be created. As soon as the ticket is being created, then my automation platform will start to work. So that's why there is a delay. Okay, the ticket is here. So at least the ServiceNow part was done. Okay, it's running. So the first one is running. As soon as it finishes, it's not me. I finished. It's the robot that continues. Okay. Okay, so the first part was finished, and I can already see that in my mail. Okay, I'm sending a mail to myself, just for the demo sake. The second mail should come, telling me about the passport. Well, on my mobile I got both of them. Here, still not. Okay, the second process is running, which is the mailbox creation. So let's start with the calculation because I want to give a reward to someone. So the first one started helping with the calculation. So 326.06. So that's 12 seconds. Okay, the first part took 12 seconds. And then this one took 11. So that's 33 seconds. You see, I have already 2 tasks which are completed. The third one will be completed in a few seconds. I will refresh here and I should be able to see that Taylor is already part of my organization. Okay, and I got the third mail, so it means that we finished and everything is ready. So I can go here. Okay, done. So we were in 33 seconds. That's 28, 11, 28, 13, 46. Right? 46 seconds. Okay. Now, in order to save time, and instead of me going to back to the results, who was the closest to 46 seconds?
Just for your information, I bet for 2 minutes.
Huh?
I bet for 2 minutes.
You are far. So who was the closest one to 46 seconds? I trust you. 60 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. 20 minutes, 5 seconds, 2 minutes. This is more. 10. Okay. So the closest is, so who chose 1:22? Actually, Mangus is closest one. Right? So Mangus, well, congratulations.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay, so just to close because I'm late. I hope that you enjoyed it. The idea was to show you just a bit of what could be done. I'll be stay here for another session, but after that I have to leave. But you have Blaise here, and you can reach out to Andrea if you don't have our email addresses. If you have more questions, I'll be more than happy to have a discussion, just an open discussion about what is possible. Thank you very much for your time.